You know what they say. Dead men tell no tales. Yo, what's going on, guys? Matthew V. Haynes here, aka The Closet Master. Right now I'm going to be reviewing for you Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. So, guys, right now I'm going to be doing this review a little bit differently. I'm going to be making one entire video. First half will be spoiler-free, then the second half will be spoiler. So if you've already seen the movie and you're just interested in seeing the spoiler stuff, then I will post the actual time when the spoiler discussion starts, like right here, so you can click, just go to that minute mark where the spoiler starts. And if you're just here for the spoiler-free review, I will let you know when I dive into spoilers. So no worries there, guys. Just stick around for the spoiler-free stuff. And if you are worried about spoilers, don't worry, I will let you know when I'm getting ready to talk about spoilers. Alrighty, guys, before we get in this review, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you are new, put that notification bell on, check out my social media right here, also in the description box below, and let's get on with this review. So this movie basically follows Jack Sparrow and a group of new people, along with some old members of the previous cast, joining on them to locate the trident of the sea that breaks all curses. But on the way, Jack Sparrow and these new members of the team run into some old company that Jack Sparrow has, some unwanted company that is not expected. And that's pretty much all I'm going to tell you guys without spoiling anything. So great. Now, so how did I really feel about this movie? Now, I'll tell you the honest truth, guys. This movie was okay. It wasn't the best Pirates of the Caribbean movie I've seen. To me, so far, the best Pirates of the Caribbean movie, the best Pirates of the Caribbean movie I've ever seen so far has to be the first one. And a lot of people don't like At World's End, which is the third one. I personally like that one a lot more. The second one was absolutely perfect as well, also because you had soundtrack by Hans Zimmer, who worked from the second movie up to On Stranger Tides. The first one, I forgot who did it, and on this one, the Dead Men Tell No Tales, Hans Zimmer did not return. However, his protege did return, someone who's been working with him before in the past to do the score. So it kind of had the same Hans Zimmer Pirates of the Caribbean feel throughout this entire movie. Before getting to some of my negatives, let's just talk about some things that I really liked about the movie. Well, of course, one of the things I absolutely loved about this movie was first music. Always number one for me. The music did what it was supposed to do, which was to gravitate you to feeling certain types of ways when certain scenes were on screen, certain things that happened. It really did its job, and like I said, it still had that Hans Zimmer Pirates of the Caribbean feel to the whole entire thing, despite it having a new person composing the entire soundtrack. Cinematography, of course, is something good. You would expect it. There's a couple of nitpicky things I had with the visuals, which I will talk about after my negatives part of this whole entire thing, but for the most part, a lot of the shots were really, really good. Now, of course, you would expect me to say that Johnny Depp was the highlight of this movie, but to me, he was not. Actually, Captain Salazar, his character, that character is actually, to me, one of the most highlights of this entire movie. We're getting to see this villain that we never really had, that doesn't really have too much funny moments. Most of these villains in the previous movies have like little funny moments and funny things towards them that you can laugh and relate to. Like, for instance, Barbossa, one of those characters that are one time he's a villain, one time he's not a villain. That's kind of weird anti-hero looking things, pretty much like Jack Sparrow, this anti-hero pirate, has funny moments and stuff. But Salazar, dead serious guy, one mission, only one mission alone. He had this entire film, and you got that. You really got development with his character. Now, another thing I really enjoyed about this film too was we got a little bit more of the backstory of Jack Sparrow, things that we never seen before from this character, things that we never knew about him to begin with, and the way how they did the CGI for him was perfect. It's something you would never it's what to expect when you're dealing with a Disney product. You're dealing with something that is, really advanced, especially if you've seen Rogue One, that movie, if you've seen a lot of other movies recently that has been handling CGI or younger CGI versions of certain actors. They did a really good job. The way how it was, it just felt real. It felt like if you were really taken back to when Jack Sparrow was this younger version of himself, and they just did a really good job with that and explaining that entire story. There wasn't any loose ends with there, and it made sense too. It's not like if it was a story that was just like, okay. And there were certain things that really explained you know, little things like how he got certain things now. So I really, like I said, I really enjoyed how they did that and put it all together. The story has a few twists and a couple of things that will surprise you, and that is what I did enjoy. But like I said, for the most of the point of the movie, there were certain parts that were just completely filler. Like I said, it wasn't the best Pirates of the Caribbean movie I have seen, which brings me on to some of my negatives. Now, for me, one of the negatives I had was the story. The story to me wasn't the best. I mean, the concept was great. You know, it was a typical thing. You're having these new cast members, which is basically Will Turner and Elizabeth Shaw in a new version, like these rebooted versions of these characters. Even though it's not rebooted, like you're getting that same vibe again, or that's at least what they were going for. At least that's the vibe I got, that's what they were going for. But you're getting this whole new Will Turner thing, and it's just like, I've seen this already. Why are we doing this? You know what I'm saying? Like, I was expecting to see them continue a lot of the things from, specifically from On Stranger Tides, which is really, to me, just an entire filler movie, which really doesn't, to me, I think when it comes to chronological stuff, as far as the actual story is concerned, it's the Curse of the Black Pearl, then Dead Man's Chest, then At World's End, then Dead Men Tell No Tales. On Stranger Tides is just like, it's just there. Another thing too is really a big negative. It had a lot of characters in here that's just unnecessary. I mean, well, one specific character that was just unnecessary, underutilized, and not really, their presence wasn't necessarily needed for this movie. So I mean, they had that. And then another thing, last thing I would say, really and truly, another downfall to me personally was actually Johnny Depp himself. I didn't feel as if, because in the first movie, you can see he really put passion into this character. He really did this. But I just felt as though the way how he did the character this time, it wasn't like, it didn't feel like the Jack Sparrow I know. It felt like a forced thing. I don't know if I'm using the right word there, but and I don't know if you guys will get that vibe, but it felt like a forced thing to me, which I didn't really necessarily like. But all in all, guys, I'm just gonna give this movie like a 6.5, 7 out of 10, a solid C+, B-, around there. Not the perfect Pirates of the Caribbean movie, but definitely not the worst one. So you know, it has great potential and some great twists and some things that, some unanswered questions in this movie and surprises. And what I will say, do stay to the end of the movie, to the very, very end, because there is a post-credit scene. So stay. I always forget to say that, but there is a post-credit scene. Anyways, guys, this concludes the end of the spoilers, the spoiler-free section. Right now, I'm going to get ready to talk about the spoilery stuff and things that happened in this movie about spoilers. If you care about spoilers and you don't want to hear anything else about the movie, I would suggest shut off the movie now, shut off the video now, go watch the movie, then come back and watch the spoiler section of this video. All right, guys, here we go. Let's get into some spoilers. Now, one of the things that was shocking, I'm gonna just go straight for it, man. Barbossa having a daughter. Now that to me was just completely insane. Like, Barbossa has a daughter that's just as old as Will Turner's son. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, Barbossa had to have, that child around the same time Elizabeth Swann got pregnant with Will Turner's son. And I mean, that's crazy to see the whole twist to it. I would never expect Barbossa to have a daughter, and, you know, just going straight to the end of him sacrificing himself at the end. He pretty much died like how Han Solo died in Star Wars The Force Awakens. Just falling down this entire pit, sacrificing himself for his kid. That kind of thing was just really, really awesome to see. So that was definitely one of the most shining parts of this film altogether. Will Turner, you have the Will Turner scenes. Now, he was there for only like 2 scenes, but when he was there, I kind of wanted to see more Flying Dutchman stuff, and we didn't really get to see more of that, but I actually wanted to see him do some Flying Dutchman things to really make it more interesting and add to the story. But he didn't really have that. But the 2 scenes that we did have him for, or I would just say 3, including the post-credit scene, was definitely really good to see Orlando Bloom back on the screen. Which brings me to this now. Keira Knightley is back as Elizabeth Swann. Now, that to me has me really, really excited, because I didn't know whether or not she was going to return back to the franchise. We saw her at World's End, and then she wasn't there On Stranger Tides. But then she's back here. We just see her running up the hill, and that glorious shot at the end, coming up and hugging Will Turner. It's the biggest touching, especially if you're a fan of the franchise. Like, you saw at World's End, it was very sad to just see him leave the beach, kiss her, him go on the Flying Dutchman and disappear. never to see her again. And she's just left alone on this island, which becomes her home. And it's just like, wow, it's like, what happens next? You know what I'm saying? But to see that come to an end where he's able to return back to his old life, them going and getting the whole trident thing, and destroying it and breaking all the curses, and him returning back to his normal self, the whole crew, the ship, everyone becoming normal again, and just that reunion, I guess. So that was really fun to see. So I was just happy to see that get that closure. But what was really annoying me too, though, was that whole, I didn't really get that whole chemistry. I think his son was more annoying than anything else. I mean, they're trying to get that whole new Will Turner vibe thing, and like, it didn't really work for me. And then that witch too, like, she was just, that's the unnecessary scene I was talking about, the unnecessary character that I was talking about. She was completely unnecessary. I didn't see, all she did was help Barbossa get dang, how did I forget the compass? How did I forget that? Yeah, him get that, I'm like, that was just unnecessary. I mean, that's all she ever did. There's nothing, you know, spectacular she contributed to the cause or anything. I mean, that is kind of what helped him find Salazar and everything like that. So, you know, and a downfall when speaking of Salazar was actually how he looked. Some of the 3D and the CGI stuff was just a little bit like, you know, it was just like, oh wow, it's like that didn't look, I didn't like the whole body and holes thing. That just didn't work for me. The way how they did it in the first movie though, however, was actually pretty cool. And then you have like Jack Sparrow, and this is what I'm talking about, Johnny Depp not necessarily being the highlight of this movie. I felt like he was only in this movie like 10%. Like, it was just a thing where he's just more, he was beaten down, like he's more drunk than usual, he's more, you know, not himself. He's just like, oh, he's just worse, he's just horrible. But I'm like, what is even going on here? Like, this is the most drained out Jack Sparrow we have seen so far. Like, he's completely drained out, he's the most drunk, he's doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff more than what he normally does, and it was just like, that's what I'm saying. He didn't really hit it for me. I just felt a lot of things are just forced with Johnny Depp's character specifically. So I don't know if I'm the only one that got that vibe. But then now let's talk about that post-credit scene. So the post-credit scene, we got Will Turner. He's on the bed with Elizabeth. They're there, you know, he's sleeping, whatever. He's returned to his normal life, and then he has this dream, what appears to be Davy Jones coming back from the dead, apparently, which doesn't make any sense because the curse is supposed to be lifted, and if the curse is lifted, then he shouldn't be octopus-faced anymore, which kind of confused me a little bit. But you saw that, but then it appeared to be a dream that he had, and then you look down, the camera pans down, then you see the little barnacles and stuff on the ground. So it did appear as if Davy Jones was in his house at that point, which again doesn't make any sense because the curse is supposed to be lifted, and he's not supposed to have that form anymore because he's no longer part of the Flying Dutchman or anything like that. I just don't understand that specific piece there, but they definitely are hinting of another movie, obviously. So I mean, I think they said somewhere that it may be at least 2 more movies after this one, but in my honest opinion, they could have ended the movie at World's End. Plus, it's such a great title to end the franchise. I think At World's End would have been a great way to end the movie, but then it would have left people like, because the way how At World's End ended with Will Turner leaving, it gave us opportunity as fans to kind of create how the story goes after. So some people were like, oh, okay, well, maybe Elizabeth Shaw can go visit him on the boat every now and again or whatever. It gave us ways to just kind of create things, and then Johnny Depp, Jack Sparrow was left without the Black Pearl, and then so we could kind of just guess or predict that he would get it back eventually. So it kind of gave us ways to just guess what would happen for us as fans to create what happens next. But then they did on Stranger Tides, and they're like, okay, well, now they just re-enter this whole world now, and it's like, yeah, now we're going down this whole path here. So I'm definitely interested to see what the next villain will be, what the story's even going to be about. They're probably going to continue what's going on with Will Turner's son, and I keep forgetting her name, Stargazer Child. I keep forgetting her name, but I'm definitely interested in what's going to go on with that, man. Anyways, guys, I hope I didn't leave anything out of the spoiler part of this video. I think I covered everything. If I left everything out, if I left anything out and you've seen the movie, let me know in the comment section down below, man. Once again, guys, thank you so much for watching this video all the way through. Subscribe if you are new, man. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one, man. Clockmaster out.